Oh, you did?
No, last.
Thank you.
You did? You watched the video?
Okay, while I was like working.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
I
kind of
was
tough
wondering
sometimes.
how often people actually.
Sometimes the sound is off.
In the garbage. Oh, garbage, yeah. Did you find housing yet in or wait, are you still looking for a place in Kingston or are you?
What is that?
living in a-
Sort of, but one of the questions you did ask me is about.
Did you hear from Mrs.?
Okay, calling this meeting to order, I'm Lisa Kelly, the chair of this fine commission. Does everyone need to say who's present or you?
No.
No, only when DJ's online. Okay, so let's get to it. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes that were updated by Kit? Do I have a motion to approve? Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Approval of minutes? All
Yes.
right. And so we'll move to the next thing, introduction of new commissioners. Welcome to Lester Berg, Cesar Castro, and Sophie Landers, who's online with us today. Thank you very much for your service here today, and I'd like to just give you a few moments to introduce yourself to the community that may be watching. Just a couple minutes each. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Cesar Castro. I currently work at CPW for community engagement. For the past 10, 11 years, I've been working in fine art world in New York, producing art, operations, logistics, and exhibition design, etc., getting art all around the globe at different times with exhibitions in Asia, Europe, Latin America, mainly focusing on sculpture and on public sculpture as well. So inside exhibitions, but also outside. And just in general, I'm an artist myself. I engage in art here in New York and Miami. And on the side, I also have a collective of artists encouraging and helping BIPOC emerging artists in Brooklyn and helping them develop their careers, whatever that may do for each individual.
Lester. Okay.
Maybe Sophie.
I took the 2
weeks off with Sophie.
Okay, I'm going to sweep in to save the day here. My name is Sophie Landres. I'm a curator and an art historian. I'm currently the curator of the Dworsky Museum at SUNY New Paltz. And prior to that, I did a lot of independent curating. I was also in Miami, working at a museum in Miami. And I've taught art history and visual study courses all over the place too. The New School, Columbia University, NYU, Sotheby's Art Institute, etc. My PhD research was centered on post-war avant-garde sound and did include research into artists like Pauline Oliveras, Kingston's own Pauline. And I have been in Kingston, a resident of Kingston for 4 years now. I have a child at George Washington Elementary School who used to be at CCE. And through my children, I feel that is the conduit that deeply enmeshes me into this incredible community. I'm ecstatically happy to be part of this commission and to be working with all of you closely, making the arts and culture here even ever more vibrant. So thank you.
Thank you. Lester, are you ready now?
Ready.
Remove Candy.
I met several of the members on a Zoom, but for the new people and to refresh your memory. Before I retired, I was deputy director at the MTA Arts and Design Program, which puts permanent public art in transit stations. So it's a little side note of the art world, but it has the biggest audiences of any art institution, in my opinion, because of the amount of people that use the subways. And it raises all the issues of public art. Before that, I was in California in community development programs in Los Angeles and the city of West Hollywood. In both, we had a percent for art and a public art plan, and I was drawn to the arts and the cultural projects more than the design of a parking structure. But the parking structures had percent for art, so that led to the career shift to public art. So I'm hoping in Kingston, I can help share my sort of national perspective from having been chair of the Americans for the Arts Public Art Network, which had members from all over the country who administer public art programs, and hope that we can move forward and make wonderful things happen.
Great.
The end.
Thank you. We're so thrilled to have you all here with us. We're now a complete board complete commission. So we're thrilled. We have a lot to talk about over the next year here. So yeah, let's start with the director's update.
Hi, good to see you and welcome our new commissioners. I've had really good time spending with all three. All three have rolled up their sleeves, hitting the ground running. I had a great meeting with Sophie and I was talking about the Public Art Committee, and she sent me a lot of information and a whole lot of names, and you know, I am just over the moon. I spent with Cesar. I spent time with him. I learned a whole lot. I spent a lot of time with Lester. And again, I'm so thrilled that you all are here with us. I'm going to go right to my report right now. And as we all know, my report is aligned with the Arts and Cultural Master Plan priorities. And first off, I just wanted to report on the December 7th exhibition opening. It was a blazing success, the Freedom Exhibition. And in attendance at the opening, we had roughly, my attendance numbers are estimates, but about 280 souls walked through the door. One artist has reported that she got an offer and accepted to sell her artwork, and I've had two others that have had offers as well. I just want to say special thanks to Richard Frummis, who donated materials and supplies for the exhibition with Pablo Shine and the Pubsters, helped with the install, and of course, Nina Suggs, who jumped right in at the exhibition opening, hands-on, and helped me so much. So this exhibition is up until August the 4th. We have a pickup date now for the statue, which will be 4th with the rain date of the 5th. So the Sojourner Truth's First Step to Freedom is with us through August. And the exhibition is we can extend this exhibition. I had a lot of positive feedback, so I'm not so sure that the exhibition is coming down in August. The challenges that we have, I don't know if anybody have been in the building over the last month or so, but 2 of the bulbs went out on the ground floor again. It's not a bulb, it's a wiring issue, so hopefully this is going to be rectified. But it's as you know, it's a dim gallery as it is. And, you know, we need to raise funds for a lighting system, but before we can do that, we need an expert that can come in, meet with the electrician and discuss what kind of system SHPO would approve and that would not overtap our existing fragile wiring system. More on that later. We had the donations. Trina Green graciously got a friend of hers to erect 2 light stands to light up the statue. She paid for the materials and supplies, and now we have a better lit statue lit in the foyer. And these lights will go with the statue. The statue moves to Ulster County and then Newburgh. They are definitely making a big difference. So in the report, you also see, and the report is online at the City of Kingston's meetings calendar. You'll see that we are working on Burning of Kingston, Lost Voices Lost in the Fire 2025. It will be October 16th to 19th. We have a lot of partners that are coming forward to the table for this year. We should have all plans solidified by the end of May. Reporting on last year's events, this is DEIA, ensuring access to affordable arts and cultural programming. Not only do I support all of the events and festivals that go on in Kingston, but also, of course, as you know, I host my own. I've reported previously, and it is included in my report, the March, June, December special events. I also reported in previous the Music in the Park series, June, July, two in July, the one in August, and of course, the Hutton Park. They all have a very similar theme. They're outdoors. We book musicians, we take their time. I had to reschedule 2 bands last year because of terrible weather. My concern with that is that they give up their time, so they give up the opportunity to have other jobs. A lot of these musicians are living on it. We don't have necessarily an indoor space to move things indoors, and the attendance, of course, is compromised. We only removed Renee Bailey because she was an elder. The attendance was compromised, but the heat was so excessive, we could not leave her outside. So, all outdoors events. I've talked to many events and festival organizers who are all concerned about the same thing. You cannot count on good weather. Many had to reschedule, go to Andy Murphy. It's not the ideal place. It's a gym. But at least we do have that as an alternative for a lot of events and festivals. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to encourage all of City of Kingston's events and festival organizers, especially the big ones, always try to book Andy Murphy as your rain location. Because if you don't, somebody else might take it, and then you'll have to reschedule a lot of people that are involved in your events. Radio Kingston especially were gracious enough, and we thank them over and over again for doing the tech for all of our events. Our end of the year, our annual end of the year, Peace and Unity event was such a success. Old Dutch Church was packed. There was standing room only on New Year's Eve. We collected over $2,000 in donations, and that went to the People's Place. And it is a very moving annual event, very well attended, 6 o'clock in the evening, so people can get to wherever they're going for New Year's Eve. But, we hope that we will have the funding to continue. So I'm going to move on to this year. We have coming up this weekend, February 15th, the annual Sojourner Truth Walk. You can just Google and the 10th annual Sojourner Truth Walk Kingston, and you will find the where it starts, 11 o'clock at the Hannaford Kings Plaza there. The UCAT bus will ride people through all the stops, or you can walk it. It's 5 mile walk.
It's Kingston Plaza, it's not the stadium this year.
Is it called Kingston Plaza? What is it called?
I think it's the stadium.
Where Chase Bank is.
I thought it was from.
Herzog.
The past is.
Herzog.
Right, that's Kingston.
That's Kingston Plaza. Okay,
The past, it has been the stadium.
Oh, okay.
So, all of the information is on the Sojourner Truth Walk website, and it mistakenly said earlier in the Daily Freeman that City of Kingston, the City Hall was a stop. Frank Waters has removed City of Kingston as a stop to see the statue because he said it's too long. So I will put a sign on just in case people might be coming here. And as always, the statue is on view Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30, but by special appointment, I will come in and show anybody that wants to on weekends as I'm available. Next up, and Carol Wood, the organizer for the Textile Art Showcase, Women's Work of the 19th Century, was here sizing everything up. We have 24 presenters for that. So they're going to take over City Hall on the 29th, 11 o'clock to 4. We will have
29th of
of March. And we will have a lot of details by the end of the month and put a press release for it with all of the participants. And I'm just too excited about this. We have 2 rooms that can fit in our elevator. So you'll see some shearing, you'll see some, just about everything. And also we're going to bring it to the present time. We have some sewing machines coming. We have models demonstrating the models that will be exhibiting some of the clothing that a lot of these makers have made. And what I'm hoping to do is attract a lot of youth organizations to encourage parents to stop by. I'm hoping that these makers would be able to do more workshops at our for our youth serving organizations. These are crafts that, we don't want lost.
So this is like, it's like a kind of, like steps back in time and then takes us to the present
Yes.
in terms of textile
Yeah,
fabrication.
lace
Oh,
making,
cool.
you name
What
it.
day of the week is the 20th?
This is a Saturday, the 29th of March. And again, we're gonna have more details and we're gonna send out the press release by the end of the month.
Kit, do you need commissioners to be available?
I would love for commissioners to be there.
I wanna
with
be there.
that on. Basically, this is, and I want to thank the Art Society of Kingston for being the fiscal sponsors for Woodstock Weavers. I am hosting. We are hosting this event. We are not sponsoring this event. This is not my event. This is the Woodstock Weavers event, and they don't have a 501c. So Art Society of Kingston came on board as their fiscal sponsor. They are receiving the donations and any sponsorships. And they're just excited to partner with us.
Cool. And I'll just say to the new commissioners that some of these events that happen in City Hall, it's really important for us to attend as much as we can as commissioners to support not only Kit and the office, but also to know, just for the community to know that we're gonna show up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so you also have, and it's a much shorter Music in the Parks season this year. I had budget cuts, so there's a bit of money that I did receive from the mayor from the ARPA funds. And those funds are going towards the Sojourner Truth programming as well as the July, August, and September Music in the Parks program. That will be up on the website very shortly. And then I wanted to move to what we're planning. I've got a host of partners meeting with me, and I'm meeting with a lot of individuals about next year. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the USA. And while some organizations I've met with so far don't know what they're going to do yet, I am just excited about how many already have their plans in place about what they're bringing forward for the 250th. Now, the mayor would like me to continue organizing the fireworks in the riverfront and the band down there. We usually get about 5,000 people. That's tradition. But beyond that, I call it the Big Five. My partners, Ulster County and the historians, the archivists, the county clerk, Old Dutch Church. We are planning some of the things that will be posted or coordinated by us, but I'm trying to bring as many partners as possible together, whether you are located in Kingston or not. We would love to see when we can put you on the calendar so that we can have a year full of 250th related commemoration, celebration, and what have you. What I've just confirmed for the Burning of Kingston 2026. This is the Bard Conservatory. They will be bringing at the close as the finale of the Burning of Kingston, Bernstein Songfest. And I'm really excited about that. Bernstein Songfest was actually created for the bicentennial. And it's brilliant. Opera meets orchestra meets poetry of 1,000 people, all wrapped up in one. So we'll have more on that, but that is the first confirmation that we have for the Burning of Kingston 2026. There'll be more. We also are working on the emancipation of slaves in New York State, which was July, which will be, the 200th anniversary will be July 7th, 2027. So there's many, many partners. My Kingston Kids has some real exciting things going on. A lot of partners are working on that. The Big Five, as I just mentioned, we're working on some things as well. And of course, the Burning of Kingston's 250th anniversary will be October 2027. And many, many partners, including New York State, are working towards some incredible programming. I had a great meeting with Brian Zellmer, the new executive director of UPAC, and we are talking about what UPAC might bring to the table for the 250th of the country. Like again, with all three of these milestones, we have many, many partners coming forward. So I had a question. I'm going to move on because I don't want to take more than my time, but I just had a brief question. We do have priority C, DEIA, and I'm sorry about that. And it's not just a strategy. It is a whole section. It is a whole priority of the master plan. And I'm taking care of the making the arts accessible, but there is a big section that we really haven't tapped into. And I guess my question, will such a task force be established by the Kingston Arts Commission? I am facilitating, as I said, strategy 7. And I was wondering, is there pieces that you are doing for the CPW that might fit into any of that in that priority area?
A large part of what I do fits here, especially now, during these times. I literally, and what I do in the work is community outreach, but a lot of it recently throughout the last 3 weeks is corroborating facts of what's going around. Recently, there was a GoFundMe about a kid they stopped at Socrates. We work with a lot of Kingston High School kids, so it is my job to understand if this is a fact check, if it was an arbitrary detention, or was it something that happened at home. All to say, I did my research. It was not an arbitrary event. It was actually, there was an altercation, so it involved the police, but still the question is, why did ICE get involved? That's a lot of what I do, and then it has gotten me in contact with UIDN and other organizations that are helping and facilitating inclusion of immigrants within. So we've set all that to say that we've offered a space and kind of create the space of CPW so that these communities can gather and hopefully talk and share resources in that way. A lot of it is also just attending and collaborating with other cities in the Hudson Valley. As far, I went to New Paltz to hear the University of New Paltz to hear Dr. Barros in Newburgh, and just seeing how we collectively can share and communicate in a way that is not fomenting fear. With Radio Kingston and all the community, I've been really like sharing information, so that's good, and hopefully trying to do that. So specifically with that, what's going on, that's been like a big thing. But other than that, I think the building has done a great inclusion of making it ADA accessible. Little by little, as we build up more and more, all the bathrooms ADA accessible. Also with the recent move, they also like just me being hired within the organization and having a program facilitator with for the Kingston High School has also created diversity within the organization and allow me to also like bring in a community that CPW might have not been that easy to get into while allowing me to speak Spanish. And even then, there is a further community of Creole speakers or Quechua speakers. So there's still a lot to work with. There's still how to make these exhibitions ASL accessible. Right now, we partner with Bloomberg Connects, which allows all these exhibitions to be accessible in 40 languages. So that kind of helps. If you guys have that app, that is amazing. If you travel internationally, it's great to
Yeah.
go into museums.
Yeah.
And we also are very, at least from, my job is a big part to include youth, but also, well, in itself, CPW has a really good, living legends kind of people that come to it, but also making them part of the events and helping them create art through artists, which is through programming that we do with, artists that, we bring into the scene. But, we already have, like, the organization has done that already. And the other thing I'm doing, which is gonna happen on the 27th, is have a recurring, at least one, activity of free programming every month. And it's family inclusive. It's gonna have to do with the exhibition, so you can like, communicate with the exhibition and you take on an art or something that you create. So there is a lot happening. And little by little, we're building it and voicing it a lot. And every week, when we do have a staff meeting, is my main concern is to always communicate where we are in a national level and how that may affect or what is happening with the people that we're helping out, specifically because we're working with the school. Like it has been extremely sensitive, extremely scary. So we're just keeping up, and that just involves being around and attending the local community meetings at least one per week and sharing resources, sharing voices, sharing numbers, emails, anything.
Thank you for helping me with that. I'm going to go to policy and funding. Seeking funding to expand the capacity for the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs and establish it as a permanent municipal department. You have the ACA approved budget, which is on the City of Kingston's budget, pages 15 to 16. It's online. It includes funding for my salary, and there's 10,000 obligated from the federal ARPA grant. Ulster Savings has come forward, again, with sponsorship of 2,000 in support of the April Youth Program for Sojourner, and Ulster Tourism may be pending. Outside of salary and benefits, we're satisfying a promise to SUNY to host programs related to the statue. The mayor has directed the above grant sponsorship funds be used for Burning of Kingston and Music in the Parks. Thus far, there's no funding for implementation phase 1 of the public art policy and municipal art collection plan. I did spend time with Lester Berg, Commissioner Berg, on Percent for Art, and I know that that's later on in the agenda. And as far as housing and zoning, we continue to stay on top of this with Bartek. No updates right now. As far,
Don't, I'm listening to
I'm happy to report for this public art policy is that the mayor has created the permanent staff public art committee. Elisa Tinty, Ruth Ann Frank, Lindsay Tenbrook, Kristen Kessler, Bartek Starajov. The committee is awaiting suggestions from the KAC on goals, priorities, projects. I've met with a lot of candidates, and again, Commissioner Landris has provided with a lot of names of possible candidates for the Public Art Committee. After this meeting, we will be, Summer Smith and I are going to be putting out a press release calling for applications for this committee. What's pending is the 2 KAC members that will serve on this permanent Public Art Committee. Ward Mintz, DJ Brumfield, Lester Berg, Richard Frummis, Cicely Wilson have all raised their hands, saying that they would be interested in surveying. The mayor awaits recommendations on whom he shall report, the 2 appoint. And then, of course, we have a lot of goals and priorities and next steps for this committee. Once it gets established, hopefully we'll have the first meeting in April. A lot of people wanted to know how come we were so successful with the Public Art Policy Committee. And I said the first thing is that we do not require in-person meetings. It's a turnoff for a lot of people. It's a lot to have to travel. It's a lot to have to, just be in person. Although we love in-person meetings, the lunchtime Zooms work. So this committee We'll primarily be meeting every other month by lunchtime Zooms. However, we will have walkthroughs of the park spaces and the municipal spaces, especially when we start looking at spaces that are screening for temporary or new art. But we also have things on the table, as far as, the, Academy Green statues, the Costello statues. We have on the table a pending donation, the tree that's on the first floor. Us would like to donate it permanently. Without a committee, we can't talk about these kind of things. There's more, so as soon as we get this committee established, we can get to work. And that is it from me.
Questions?
Yes,
Indoor space for your performances in case of rain.
in case of
In
rain.
case of rain, the high school's not interested in partnering with you?
I have to have, these have to be on municipal property. They must.
Wow.
Do you have rain dates?
Goodness.
Pardon me?
Do you have, oh, you have rain dates for some, but not all.
I don't establish rain dates right away because we don't know. This weather is just crazy. Like I said, with 2 last year, I had to reschedule. And I finally moved them to the midweek so that they wouldn't lose any more indoor kids from other opportunities. Because once they lose that, they lose that money.
So are you, but moving forward, are you trying to then reserve the Andy Murphy, just so you don't have to establish a rain date?
They would prefer that we not. These are supposed to be, these are meant to be in the parks, live outdoors.
Okay.
Yes, we're still talking about that because the concern is that this weather has just been crazy. 2 years ago, well, actually 2022, we had a drought, so it would be a good time. But other than that, though, this has been not only for me, but for everybody. It's been pretty rough. And like I said, I moved Renee Bailey only upstairs in the chambers because, and that might have to be the alternate, the chambers, because it is air controlled. So, you know, we'll see.
It's not teeny either.
It doesn't attract a lot, and the purpose of the music in the parks is to move it around different wards, different neighborhoods, because, you know, people then can just step out of their houses, enjoy a concert, you know, sit on their porches. You know, it's kind of hard to have people who live on the other side of town walk, that don't have transportation, walk to City Hall, walk to Midtown, so working on it.
As a former caterer, I'm thinking about those huge party tents with flooring, but that's not changing just your budget, that's the city's budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're expensive, big tents.
Big tents are expensive, and if it's a storm with potential lightning, we're in danger, so. The weather.
You need a pan shell in case then.
Yeah, that's true, we do.
Who's very old and very loaded and wants to have something named after them. That's it.
Well, be reminded that the City of Asheville's commission, Arts Commission, founded in the 50s on one thing, and that was to have a civic center. And it took them 20 years to do it. It was the only thing that was on their plate for 20 years.
And they got it.
Finally, after 20 years.
That's
they
fast.
did it.
Yeah, okay.
They did it.
Thank you, Kit.
I have another
Other
question before we
questions?
move on. The whole commission, does the whole commission need to come up with the goals and moves for the staff public, or can we do a committee here to report back to the commission? So it seems to be more efficient to have 2 or 3 heads do it.
Right.
Tell us what it is and then tell the group what it is, rather than have this group go on.
I'm bringing up several things that are pretty heavy things.
Yeah.
And because, you know, as you move around the community, there's gonna be other things that come up, public art policy related, or the municipal art collection plan. There are other items, like the work progress administration, the funding plan that goes towards this. The committee will have a heavy load the first year. So, but, the commissioners are serving from various areas of their expertise, and also as you move around Kingston. So as you hear things that are going on, or people approach you, these may be items that must be brought to me first and then the committees. So let's start with what we got going on the items that we have, and then as, you know, items come up, and then of course the heavy is gonna be when we're ready to commission new art. when we're ready to look at artists out here who get invited to apply for public art project grants. We have one in particular who's pretty famous in New York City right now, and she has been knocking on my door saying, when are you gonna let me in? Because I get calls every time, a lot. So, you know, we can also start talking to those. Of course, that would bring in the community. We have community engagement as an item there to get as much community input as possible before, you know, said artwork, because these artists will have to engage with the community in order to put these art projects together, especially, you know, being public. So there's a lot. It's pretty heavy.
I think I may have inartfully stated my question, so I'll try again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That was some information. The Permanent Staff Public Art Committee, which
Yes.
your note says they're awaiting directions from us.
Yeah, that is what goes on in this building.
Yes, right, I know that, I've got that down. So I have to- But my point is, does this whole table have to do it? Or can we make a committee to come up with the necessary steps for the staff committee to work in? That our subcommittee here reports back to the commission, and we say, great, and then we tell them, because it's not getting done now at all. So, and I'm not sure we'll leave here today with people saying, let me work on that in my mind for the next month and get it done. Whereas if we empower 2 or 3 people to do it now, then it starts to move. And there are a few people at the table whose brains I would love on this project because they have the vision. I'm not so sure the whole table needs to get involved until they bring it back to us. Which if anybody's really interested right now, I would love to get that moving because this has been on Kit's list for a couple of months now. I'm putting it in the minutes. So if we can get this going, so we're not frustrating the staff or the mayor, I think we can make a positive step.
Right, one thing that we have, that the staff would be involved in, is the donation of the tree that's in this building. I think the staff also would be involved in exhibitions from here on out.
And real work means that they feel like they're being appreciated and have something to do.
Like, for
So-
instance, this past exhibition, all of the staff public art committee was invited to be on that selection panel. Several could.
Okay.
So,
So
Did they
that's-
enjoy it?
it was hard. Right?
But we need to give them guidelines and work, so if anyone would like to step into those shoes to get this 1 point done and started, we can, then, well, and we also look more efficient and proactive if we're able to do that, and just stop listing every month in our to-do list.
Well, don't we need to formally nominate the people who are interested and then
Yeah, first
give
interest
our
and
recommendation
nomination.
to the mayor? Yeah,
Can you make
and
the
that's what we're
point,
gonna do next.
the point that you're talking about, can you name it again?
Yeah, it's the Staff Public Art Committee, they're in charge of what happens in this building. They're waiting for the commission to say, these are your points of operation. But we keep talking about it as a commission, we've had fluid membership. Now that we have good membership and brains, more brains, we can say 2 or 3 people, come up with a list for them, bring it back to the commission, we empower, we say yes, and then we can go back, Kit or whomever goes back to the staff committee and says, these are the points, this is what you're gonna be doing over the next 3, 4, 5 months, and they feel useful, and we feel we've accomplished something, we also look effective. I tend to like to think that we should look effective, so.
I'd like to officially move into that piece, the old business policy and funding, which is all about the public art committee and assigning the 2 voting members. So, I mean, the way that this committee works, all the commissioners are invited to be a part of this committee, but it's only 2 voting members that we must nominate and recommend to the mayor. And that's what we're going to do today.
Let's go.
Okay, so we have Ward, DJ, Lester, Richard, and Cicely, who threw their hats in the ring.
To be the 2.
The 2 voting members, is that correct?
I don't need to be voting, but I just want it to be.
Yeah.
I just want to be involved.
But we need voting.
There's some people who are actually more.
Lester and DJ.
Lester, DJ,
It's not my
Ward.
field, really, but I'm very interested.
All right, that's cool.
What are you talking, shut up?
So,
Please.
Did DJ, Lester, do you have anything to say about that, about being a voting member, or?
Yes, a lot, but not at this moment.
Go for it.
It's like we haven't gotten married and you want to know how many children I want. I'm not sure of what the responsibilities are and the framework,
The
but
roles and
yes, I want to
responsibilities, but
share my
the
expertise. I'm mixing up in my head, the permanent staff public art committee is staff. And I thought that's what you were talking about, but you're talking about who sits on the permanent public art committee.
It's not
No.
permanent.
No, we're talking about the staff committee only.
No, I didn't, we're not talking staff.
Oh,
No.
that's what I was talking about. That's the first one.
I'm talking about the public art committee composition, which is comprised of voting members and non-voting members. We need two representatives of this commission to serve on that as voting members. Then we need to establish 3 members with relevant experience within what we want to accomplish. Those can be artists, art historians, art conservators, arts administrators, curators, architects, blah, 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 blah. on and so on.
And we're putting out
They don't have to be.
we're putting out a press release inviting the public to apply for those 3 slots.
Right, and so the non-voting members, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is the permanent staff committee that you were just talking about. That's the 2 representatives from city departments, a representative from the Common Council, Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs, and when appropriate, other commissions of other
And Sue has
departments.
been appointed as the representative for the city staff.
Right, so the voting members are the governing body of this committee, I suppose, that will be directing with what you say the goals, priorities and projects. to-
Right, and it's all laid out in the public art policy that everybody has a copy of. And the roles and responsibility of said committee.
It's page 16.
Did you say 15?
16. Sorry, go ahead, Kit.
So, let's start.
I read it, but, you know, not having been around during the formation, I don't like own it yet in my head, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I saw your
I've
name.
been on these types of
Did you-
committees, I understand what it is.
It sounds like, I just heard you were
Yeah,
in the
And,
throwing the hat.
this is me not being frank the way I usually am. A lot of the discussions at these committees are the art professionals and the community trying to find a common language. About how to move forward and bring art that meets certain standards of what makes something good, but what speaks to the community. Anyway, yes, I'm interested, I accept if you want me,
Oh, okay. And DJ,
but I assume there's a vote.
well, let's see what DJ has to say about his hat in the ring.
I threw my hat in the ring because I was afraid no one else was going to. I don't consider myself a visual artist. As I always told you, I'm on the performing arts side of the business. So if someone feels they're more qualified of the visual arts, then I will gladly step back.
We don't
But
have,
because I'm strict, because I'm
Looking at a
interested-
curator.
Yes, so am I,
You know?
but I didn't want to point it.
I had talked to Sophie already about sitting on this committee. I don't remember whether or not you said you had time. Sorry.
I would be happy to be involved. I am trying to wrap my head around what the time commitment would be, though.
I want the meetings, but also in these areas that I've mentioned that are coming up immediately, like Academy Green statues, the Costello statue, the donations of the art and other. Those off of the meetings, which will be an hour every other month, would take some time to look into, dig into. Some of these items may require a subcommittee of the Public Art Committee, like we have many souls that I've spoken to that say that I cannot serve on the Public Art Committee, but anything that you're doing with statues, I want to be on that subcommittee. So, but this is pretty, especially in the inaugural year, I think the commitment for the first Public Art Committee is pretty strong, pretty heavy.
And may I ask, is the work with 615 Broadway considered part of the public art as well? Or is that a separate initiative because it's more about working with zoning and housing?
Well, this is to ensure that these developers, will, have, arts and culture as part of these newly developing projects. Although they're not municipal sites, these are partnerships with the city of Kingston, and we will be involved. In what capacity that's being built, that's being talked about, we don't know what that looks like. We just know that the Pauline Oliverios, deep listening space that was promised to us, that this would be a more permanent area. I can't even use the word permanent, but that advocacy needs to be, well, we need the strong advocacy, not only from the Public Art Committee, but also from the KAC as a whole.
In my eyes, I feel that project has a lot of intersections that relate to the commission's work and specific committee work.
I think I could be a strong advocate on the working with those developers, et cetera. And I'm also very happy to lend my experience to the more municipal public art projects as well. So I'm happy
Does that
to.
mean you wish you want to be a voting member? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I'm really actually deferring to all of you. If it seems like I would be valuable in that position, I would be happy to throw my hat in the ring. I mean, Lester is clearly, that's clearly his area. And with a curatorial perspective, I think I could make a contribution too. If there's somebody that feels more experienced or more passionate, I defer to that, but I'm happy to serve if it would be useful.
That's wonderful. And I'll just say too, because this is a baby committee, it's just really getting on its feet. And you two are new commissioners. I don't want to leave you out, feel like you're out in the cold here. Like, I'm going to be involved, and as Richard and Cicely and DJ and Ward will also be involved. We just won't be the final votes.
Okay.
In the midst, so that's just a formality. Yeah. So thank you. So do we need to make a motion to these nominations?
You're gonna send to the mayor.
Okay, can I get a motion to nominate Lester and Sophie as our voting members of the Public Art Committee?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
And you vote, and we.
Oh, yeah, all right.
I'm bringing.
Yeah, right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you,
missed
that's
you. Did
awesome.
you vote?
It is.
Did we just
Exciting.
vote?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Aye. We all said aye, right? Did you say, do sorry,
Is it unanimous? Or any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bringing the Robert's rules in.
Yeah, before we move on from Public Art Committee, I was wondering, you had mentioned something about giving advice from Corporation Council around a modification to the,
We don't need that.
oh, we don't need it, okay, all right. So I
I'll
won't,
find that.
Regarding
The resolution has this committee, and what I wanted to add, is just one clause that includes members of the community, because it just said KAC. And it's fine, Mayor said that we don't have to go through the motions of going, it's your resolution, but this committee the committee is the permanent under the resolution, but, what the committee does and the movement of this committee could change whenever the KAC.
great. Okay, so next up is percent for art. This is also something that we've been talking about for quite some time. And I invite Lester to take the floor for a moment to,
So let me, just so I can
And-
explain this, I felt the same way as that percent for art, we've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. And, because Lester, as referred by our consultant Jennifer McGregor, who also had that as a specialty. We first met, and when we saw, his application, he does have some background. So I asked Lester if he wouldn't mind, meeting with Ruth Ann and, kicking this around to see if from his angle, because as we know, talking to the mayor, talking to Ruth Ann, it's been very difficult for the city as it is set up right now to figure out how a percent for art, because so many of our capital projects are grant funded, might fit in with the city of Kingston. So
Take it. All right, well, I've been commissioner for an hour.
That's right.
Just so that I know the room, you're Sarah and you're Susan, or is it the other way?
reverse.
You got the-
I'm Sarah, this is Sue.
They have a group.
Staff and council?
Yes,
Council and staff,
council.
okay. Segue, Kip did suggest I have a chat with Ruth Ann DeWitt Frank, which was really helpful. I think her job would make her naturally skeptical of peeling a few pennies off of the grants that she manages, which I learned are the lion's share of what the public improvements and development and everything happening. Percent for art is a strange animal, but it's a popular one. It's been enacted in 350 cities. Philadelphia was the first. My expression is deciding, do I read or do I remember what I wrote on my phone? Anyway, Philadelphia started in 1959. It's the grandparent of public art. It comes from the great civic architecture, but then how do you make it more equitable and on a street level so that the whole city and its residents can sort of partake of the lofty goals of, public excellence.
do me a favor, because it's hard to hear, so if you could keep your voice up so that Sophie can also hear you.
Okay. My mother would say, don't fumfer, don't mumble. There are cities similar to Kingston of 25,000, but there aren't many that have percent for art. I'll get to them in a minute. And just to give some general background, the percent for art it's an ordinance. There's a template. They don't change a lot from city to city, but the key part is how do you pay for it and what are you paying for? Which in other words is, are you putting in the ordinance that a percentage of your general fund or your bond finance projects or your capital program funds or your federal money that come from an agency that does have a percent for art requirement? That's all the ingredients that ideally there's enough to create funding for public art, which meets certain criteria, which we pretty much have. I mean, you don't assess percent for art on a sewer project because nobody's in the pipe. It's really the people that use the site, use the space. What does it mean to them? How does art contribute to their experience of the space? How does it fold into your philosophies for improving the street life? Ruth Ann and I talked about, the fabulous change on Broadway, just the lights are longer, so you have more time to enjoy the streetscape. And it's a place, it's placemaking, to have well-lit parking that makes sense, you can understand. And you can also use percent for art money through a grant program if you know how to structure it. And Ruth Ann and I talked about the Federal Transportation Agency says you can use part of your grant for public art if it is architecturally integrated. So if you drive cross-country on interstate, state highways, you'll see pressed concrete panels on the overpasses. It's corn in Omaha, it's something else somewhere else. Those are ways to do it. In the transit system, structural pillars, there's no reason they can't be a vine that represents the agricultural past of the community. So Ruth, I think it was helpful for the grants side and the planning side to hear there are ways to do it. We're not talking about a lot of resources coming in the beginning because 1% is a penny on a dollar. It's $10,000 for $1 million project, which sounds like a lot if you're buying kitchen cabinets, but it's not, the kitchen cabinets are 40,000, so you know what I mean. I watch too much HGTV. So I think part of the committee in deciding how a percent for art ordinance should be structured, it really requires collaboration with the economic development analysts that we borrow from Ulster County, or however that arrangement is discussed, I don't know. And you know, what development is on the table? The other big part of percent for art is, do you assess it on private development, and what type, and what dollar amount? And is there enough private development happening and enough incentives Kingston is offering that we could require a donation into a percent for art fund or on the property? These, I'm throwing out the cookbook and the ingredients without knowing what we're making yet. But I just wanted to give the overview.
So basically, it's worth exploring, is what you're saying.
Yeah, let me just carry on. There were a few other points. I think it is, but I'm not privy to do the economic analysis of, if you're getting a $17 million grant to do something, making walking trails and wayfinding and realigning intersections and modernizing the signalization, what piece of that is something the city might want to assess toward a percent for art? The signals really can't, it's mechanical. But anything that's a user experience, a sidewalk, street lighting, paving, there are ways to have that count as art, and you're doing it anyway. And there are, you know, cities have learned. I mentioned probably too much that I chaired this national committee, but you learned from people you would never come into contact with. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The industry is skiing, tourism, and rich people's houses. You know, but you still want a walkable downtown, you still want the same things, you want the community to feel like you're in a special place with a unique history, and you want it, you know, in public art, and I'll stop in a minute. We always say about, you know, site-specific art should reflect the people that lived here in the past, who live here now, and who will live here in the future, because you're building for generations. In the subway system, we do mosaics, we say it's gotta last 100 years. Someone else can deal with it, but the system is over 100 years old, and you go to 14th Street and it looks it. Except there's new mosaics by Fred Tomaselli, who Sophie does to see if she's listening. Anyway, I'm just giving you an overview. There's a lot of technical parts to it. But it's a very popular funding stream because it's connected to where money is already being invested, privately or public. I worked in the city of West Hollywood. It has a piece of real estate called Sunset Strip. Everyone wanted to build a hotel, and the percent for art was, I think, 1.5%. That was easy because they decided to put a third of the money in a cultural trust fund for festivals, parades, Sojourner Truth Walking Tour. You know, you have a funding source. Atlanta has 1.5%, and they put 20% of the money they collect to conservation and maintenance. That's a big part of capital projects because everyone wants their name on the roof. They don't want to pay for the new roof for 20 years. You need to set aside money. Sculpture that lasts in the elements, wears out, wears down. Anyway, those are all parts of the pie, and I will ask if there are questions.
I think you go
Oh,
first.
they're sharing, so you.
Oh, do I? Thumb wrestle. No, I'm just kidding.
Do these always have to be percent for art tied to capital projects? And where does it come from that it has to be tied to that?
The wisdom of the people that have, it seems to
I mean,
make
it's
sense.
precedent. maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you could take it from a hotel tax if you have enough hotels generating revenue. It's really, it seemed to work since 1959 in 300 whatever places because it's connected to the project, the development. In the subway system, the MTA said, we're gonna do a preserve for art up to $20 million, which gets you 3 tile walls and a stairway in the city. But I'm kidding, for the record. And after 20 million, it's 0.5%. You can structure it however you want. And a lot of agencies impose their own because they don't want to just provide a bland facility. I was just on a selection panel for a gym in Soundview in the Bronx. You know, this running track, you want a mural, you can use the mechanism to do it.
The reason I'm asking this is because, I mean, you mentioned, yeah, cities of 26,000 do not necessarily, first of all, do they have the capital projects that would give much to it? And are they, but a city that's also looking to develop an arts economy, or should I say, make use of its arts economy. And so the thing is, are there other avenues when there isn't enough from capital projects? I mean, and you said a lot of those capital projects have to be tied to something where it relates to a public art, like a sewer would not. And the question is, to my mind, why?
What, a statue of Art Carney? Anyone might?
No, but I mean, anybody who gets that joke is just told their age.
Well, Jackie, please show Google it.
I mean, I don't, this is something that we could talk, I would love to talk to you sometime about this more.
By
So
the
I
way,
don't wanna
we've
take
been
up much
going
time.
over for the
Huh?
time here, so if you guys are good with another 5 minutes time.
No,
limit,
I'm
Let me give a quick
I'd love
answer.
to talk to you,
Okay,
know
okay.
about that.
I looked up 3 places, population is 25,000. Moscow, Idaho, big indigenous population, cultural center, farmers. It's worked, it's been successful, they have a percent for art. Wilsonville, Oregon, my niece is the public art manager there, 26,000 people. If there's an addition to a shopping center, they assess a percent for art and they get a statue at the new traffic circle. A little place called Ithaca is comparable in population, clearly it has major college and all that.
Huge.
But they have a beautiful public art plan, a committee, they're doing everything we're doing, but they have more
They have universities, they have-
research institutions.
yeah.
There are also grants. Bloomberg funds major public art initiatives. There used to be something called the Creative City or Creative Placemaking. There used to be something called the NEA, until Tuesday. But there are other grants, and since you have a successful grant writing operation, it's a way to just skew it a little to add resources to the program.
Yeah,
My question is the process. I mean, that we're the obvious receivers, but does it go through Sue's department, economic development? Does it have to go to council first? How do we get to where we are able to sign off that 1.5% to fund what we need to do?
I wouldn't say siphon. I'd say it is a city, you know, it's a city, however, the city adopts ordinances, public hearings, first readings, and the common council, you know, all of that. But it's really, you know, in most places, the controller deposits the money when the final approvals and the shovel is gone in the ground, you know, that kind of thing. There are steps. And the money is drawn down when you choose an artist to do a project, that kind of thing. It's not, we spend this money on it. It's usually linked to a specific
Okay.
project.
So we're advocates and we're also the end users. It's just, what's the typical timeline? I mean, if it was to start tomorrow, moving in that direction, how long before we're able to say it is successfully funding our projects? 2 years, 3 years?
It depends on what the development. Yeah, I would say years, but I have no idea what the grant pipeline is.
I don't know, that's a fair question. Just trying to get a picture. of how
So,
much-
It could be sooner.
I'm curious about next steps because you say economic analysis is needed. Maybe we could borrow from Ulster County. I'm just wondering if there's a way we can move forward with the possibilities, and also not have to pay any money, pro bono help or something.
It's just from talking to Rodan, I mean, they know what projects are out here.
Mhm.
They know what grants are in the pipeline. Or that are being applied for.
Yeah,
So the information is there, it's just, we don't own that information.
she's about to release her grant report in the spring, of what she's been up to, but.
And I have she gave me a report, and I drove around the city, oh yeah, there's Foxhall and Flatbush and the footprints from people, because there's no path. I mean, we got into the nitty-gritty.
So should we table this to continue next steps conversation in the next meeting?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Lester. That's just such a wealth of information. I learned so much.
I didn't know if it was too much and unstructured.
No, it's fascinating.
We can see
Really
that.
fascinating.
This was good.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm used to like thinking,
You're not used to thinking?
you know, in a linear, presentation method.
Thank you. Any new business? I know that I did want to just announce that that Ruth Ann is hosting a grants writing 101 workshop, but I don't happen to have the date in front of me. Does anyone know? 26. Yeah, and I think if you go to engagekingston.org, no, .gov. Yeah, engagekingston.com, you can get the information for a grant writing workshop at City Hall, which will also be on Zoom, but you must register, I believe, to
If you want to
attend.
do it by Zoom, you have to register.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's in person in the chambers.
yeah,
It's noon to 2.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, February 26th. Thank you, Sue. All right, any other new business? Yeah, PJ.
I'm stepping into it, I apologize. Just watching the news the last 48 hours. This is probably directed more at people who are city employees, although I think we all should know. With the lawsuit from DOJ to the city of New York, we are also a sanctuary city, funding was rescinded.
Yeah,
Where do we stand in Kingston?
we're gonna move into executive session, to talk more candidly about things, right? Not on the public record at the moment for that, yeah. Any other new business?
I just have a statement to make.
Okay.
This is going into my 4th year as the Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs, and I must say that this was the best meeting, the best Kingston Arts Commission meeting I've ever attended. And thanking everybody present for, the sharing of wisdom, our new members, for what you brought to the table today, very productive. I just wanted to say this was the best meeting I've ever attended. And thank you.
Me
And
too.
thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, sure.
For, running the meeting with, such grace and precision. I just needed to say that.
Okay, so we can move into adjournment and go into executive session, is that how it goes?
Motion.
We have to move.
We have to move,
My motion.
gotta move.
Second.
And, all in favor, right, that's what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm good at this, folks. All in favor, please?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We want to excuse the.
Yes,
guests?
I excuse our guests, and Sue, please, if you can stay for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you, Sarah, for coming.
But even though I didn't get to meet the new people, I haven't met you.
Sarah.
And I know Sophie, but nice to meet you, Lester.
I'm looking at the minutes to see that you're Sarah Pasty, Alderman 1.
That is
Ward
me.
1.
Yes, Ward 1, yes.
Good.
Ward 1
I met
superstar.
her and one of them, the old.
So, I guess you didn't meet Maggie Inge as well. She's, attending online. He's also one of our advisors. Want to say hi, Maggie? We can't really see you.
We can't see
We
you at
can't
all.
see you. I think you're muted. So anyway, we're excusing the.
And I'm
Yes.
going to excuse myself for 1 minute. Is there a restroom on this floor or the
Yeah,
second?
we're just
You'd have to go through the chamber.
Prison chambers on your left.
On the main room to your left. Bye-bye, Maggie.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye, Maggie.
Please forgive me that I have a hard stop at 5:50, but I don't know if that has any bearing on anyone, but,
What time did you say?
5:15?
like 5:50, like I can't.
That's a
I
hard
have to
stop.
basically be walking out the door.
Yes, that is a hard stop.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've got my radio show at 6, so.
We are not live.
Yeah.
Are you just pausing it?